So somehow that Thursday night football game was actually entertaining. It was pretty ugly, rough start, and then suddenly the Saints made it a game and tough break for Foster Moreau not to catch that touchdown. But we'll get into it. Welcome to Compas on the Beat, and this is looking ahead to Week 7 in the NFL. I'm Gilberto Manzano, NFL staff writer for Sports Illustrated and co-founder and co-host of Compas on the Beat. Welcome to the show where we just like to talk to people, be engaging, talk fantasy football, talk NFL game picks, talk even betting. That's not frowned upon anymore. You could definitely talk about sports bets with the Compas and fantasy football. But I'm not alone. That voice that you hear, the producer, Victor Javier Corona. Victor, how you doing?
I'm doing good. You're right. That game did turn out to be pretty good. I thought it was going to be a snoozer after what we saw in the first half, but the Saints decided to respond. Derek Carr led the troops back, but unfortunately they fell short 31-24.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, you know what, it could be overtime. They're actually moving the ball, and you got to feel for Foster Moreau there, the former Raider. You know that connection, Derek Carr and Foster there. But they couldn't get it done, and we'll get into a little more detail here. But again, I don't want people to be shy. This show is about you, the listeners and viewers of Compas on the Beat. We want to be engaging. So, any type of question about the NFL you want to ask, or even give us your opinion, your takeaways, let us know in the comments. It's going to be my first of many reminders. Give us questions, give us comments, give us your thoughts about the NFL. And if you want to get random about pop culture, that's fine too. Victor, you're a big movie guy. So, you want to talk movies, you want to talk about shows. Victor's your guy, but this show, looking ahead, is all about the NFL. And Vic, how about we start off with an engagement question and get people going and talking when they jump on?
Yeah, let's get right on it. It has to do with one of the teams that just participated in this Thursday night game. So go ahead and set us up.
Yeah, so the Jaguars are now on a 4-game winning streak. I think they are 5-2. They seem to be the team that we all expected them to be. Like they started off pretty slow. They couldn't get the offense going, but now Trevor Lawrence, who by the way, Victor, I thought Trevor Lawrence's knee wasn't working. I thought he was injured. He was out there running for like 80 yards in this game. So Trevor Lawrence looking okay. Travis Etienne is a touchdown machine. Calvin really getting into the flow of the offense. Christian Kirk, that touchdown, the game-winning touchdown, like he went from 0 to 100 real quick. So that's the question, the engagement question of the week. Are the Jaguars, Jacksonville Jaguars, are they Super Bowl contenders? Because suddenly we just forgot about them. Like they are in the mix here with the Chiefs, with the Dolphins, even the Bengals. Maybe it's a little bit of a stretch there, but the Bills are going to be hanging around. So are the Jaguars a team to watch out for in the AFC? So let us know in the comments, but I want to hear your thoughts real quick, Victor. Are the Jags Super Bowl contenders or just a team that's going to be in the divisional round and then go away?
Going into this game, I didn't think they were just because they don't look like they haven't taken the next step. Gilbert, I thought that this was going to be a season. I picked Trevor Lawrence to be my MVP this season before the season, just because I thought they were going to take the next step. And yes, they're winning these games. They're winning games against Buffalo, but at the same time, I just haven't seen it from this offense. Their defense is starting to play really well. The thing was that I thought this Doug Peterson offense was going to take the next step, and they just haven't. I don't, even with this win, I still don't see it. And don't be surprised. I know you've brought it up before. You've been on this bandwagon with the Texans. Don't be surprised if the Texans end up winning this division, Gilbert.
Yeah, that's probably the point I'm gonna harp on, Vic, because I do like the Jaguars. I just don't feel like they're gonna be a legit Super Bowl contender because they gotta still win the division. And when you have the Texans battling there and the Texans already beat the Jaguars, let's see what happens there. So I'm not ready to call them a legit contenders because I think the Texans are gonna be up there in the mix. So if the team that comes out of the AFC South, it feels like a divisional round team, and that's about it. And that's not a real Super Bowl contender. So just ask the Cowboys every single year. Losing in the second round is not the way to do it. So, but I'm ready to break down this game real quick. And again, don't be shy. Ask us questions or give us your comments about the NFL in Week 7 or even about Thursday Night Football. So, Vic, I think the story here should be the Jaguars defense. I think they're a little underrated. Like, you have Josh Allen, the other Josh Allen creating pressure, and a bunch of guys that you probably can't even name, but they're productive. And I know Derek Carr in the Saints offense has not been the most explosive. And man, it was kind of a rough game for Chris Olave and miscommunication with Derek Carr. I get that for the Saints offense, but I'm gonna give credit to the Jaguars defense. They really were holding it down because yeah, Trevor Lawrence wasn't at his best. He was running with the ball with a bad knee, but you didn't see the passing game really take off. ETN had a couple plays, but it was a lot of like long runs from ETN and then a couple catch and run kind of plays. So it wasn't the best offensive performance for the Jaguars, but I just want to give credit to the Jaguars defense. And then I know there was a couple let ups there in the fourth quarter to make it a game. I think it was like a 15-point deficit, maybe 16, I forget. But for the most part, they really held it down. And I know if Foster Moreau would have caught that touchdown, maybe the Jaguars would take some blame here. But I really like what the Jaguars defense did, Vic.
Yeah, and they've been impressive. They've been what's been doing really who's they're the ones that are playing really well. Like the offense hasn't caught up yet, but defensively, as you talked about, they got guys like Josh Allen, Devin Floyd. I think we're still waiting for Trayvon Walker, the
Yeah.
first overall pick. We're still waiting for him, especially when you see what Aiden Hutchinson is doing with Detroit. And I understand going with a different kind of player there, but even having guys like Rayshawn Jenkins and Tyson Campbell, guys like that on defense have been really solid. That's been kind of my surprise. I know a lot of people, just listening and reading just what's going on with the Jaguars. A lot of nerds are saying that they're waiting for the Jaguars to play a really good defense or a good offense, I should say. Um, because once you get to those games, they're gonna take advantage of the defensive coordinator. But so far they faced guys, the Chiefs. The Chiefs they played them tough. The Bills they played them, they beat them. So I think that's the next step for this offense is what can you offer, and I think that's partly of what's keeping them from being a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, the only time I really saw Trevor Lawrence and Calvin really in sync was I think that London game against the Bills, and you thought that's when they're really going to take off. But I know last week they had a pretty good performance against the Colts, but it still felt like you need more. And this game was kind of like they were just getting by. They were just leaning on the defense because the Saints couldn't get any drives, and you got ETN scoring. Like that like a low key, like they have a pretty fast team. They're not the Miami Dolphins, but just seeing Christian Kirk out there and Travis Etienne, go around the edge. Okay, you have weapons there, so it's on Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence to make it work. So they haven't got that next level yet, and that's why we can't consider them Super Bowl contenders, but they'll be in the mix there. But let's move on to the Saints real quick because I have some thoughts about them. And I do respect Derek Carr's performance. He was playing through some injuries. It looked like he had a groin injury. I don't know what it was, but he was in pain in the back end. But you could tell he's frustrated, and that's kind of like the roller coaster of Derek Carr. I shouldn't even call it a roller coaster because there's a lot of lows with Derek Carr. It's very kind of like takes you a while to get going, and then he does have comebacks. He did comebacks with the Raiders. Like he's known for doing that, but it's always like coming up short or starting too slow or like what could have been. And people are gonna be pointing the finger at Foster Moreau, but there were so many missed opportunities for that Saints offense. And Derek Carr was frustrated. He was going at it with Chris Olave, and I think he probably ran the wrong route because Derek Carr, aired it out for Olave. He stopped running. And then he had a big drop, and I think maybe a drive or two later, Chris Olave. So you kind of wanted to see more from that connection there. Like the old guys, Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, they stepped up for this team. It hasn't been the new guys or the young guys. So I know they're going to be playing in a crappy division, the NFC South. They could maybe steal that division. I still like the Buccaneers and even the Falcons a little better, but they're going to be in the mix because they're in a mediocre division. But you're starting to see why the Raiders were so frustrated or, impatient with Derek Carr. I shouldn't say impatient. They gave him what 9 years, Victor.
Yeah.
But you see similar the way he's running this offense to what you saw with the Raiders, right?
Yep, the red zone struggles are still there with Derek Carr, and I think that's the biggest thing and that's Saints fans are starting to see the same frustration. You started to see the boos coming in this game, and rightfully so. He has better every time. They say, well, give him weapons and he's going to do well. Well, he has weapons on this team, and it just seems like there's always miscommunication. There's always someone else's fault. It's like it's not his fault that someone else ran the wrong route. It's not his fault that the offensive lineman can't block long enough. And it's like eventually it just you have to look yourself in the mirror, and it has to be about you because this Saints defense, I'll give Dennis Allen. I'm not a big Dennis Allen fan because I've always thought he's a great defensive coordinator. I don't think he's a really good head coach, but he's had his defense ready to go. The defense has been there, even with all the losses they've had, all the shuffling they had with players coming in and out for the last couple of years. Even losing Sean Payton, I thought they were going to take a big step back on defense, but they haven't. They've been really good on defensively. It's all about the offense here, Gilbert, because they felt like they just needed a quarterback after Drew Brees, and and Derek Carr hasn't been the answer.
Yeah, I think that's what the Saints maybe might have fell for. Like what you were saying, like Derek Carr finally has better weapons. He didn't have a lot of great weapons with the Raiders. Oh, finally, Derek Carr has a great defense. He didn't have that with the Raiders. It's funny he leaves. The Raiders defense is playing much better. So a little little ironic there with the Raiders defense. But this is supposed to be like the full package that he never got with the Raiders. But you know, we get that their surroundings wasn't perfect, but we've seen enough quarterback play from Derek Carr to know who he is. Like even if he goes to a loaded roster, he doesn't seem like the guy's gonna take you or elevate you there. So when they went after Derek Carr, I was like scratching my head, like really, like Saints, like start the rebuild. Like Drew Brees ain't coming back, Sean Payton ain't coming back, and I know a lot of the coaches, especially their OC, were like trained by Sean Payton, so there's a lot of pieces from the old regime. It's kind of like don't you want to start over again? And I get it. It's tough with the Saints because they have so many great pieces, like a lot of great talent offensively, a lot of great talent defensively. But it felt like when they got Derek Carr, it's like, what's that really going to do for you? Maybe win a division. And then when you win the NFC South, you're probably going to get blown out by either the Lions or the 49ers or the Eagles, whichever division team or whatever it's going to be the 4-5, right? So if it's 4-5 Saints against what is it? Seahawks, or the Cowboys. I'm still picking the Seahawks or the Cowboys. So I don't get what was going on there, but you're starting to see, yeah, it's not working, but it was a nice try.
Yeah, and it's tough when you have, a team ready to go and with the Saints, and you think you're only one quarterback away, and they continue. Eventually they're going to have to pay off all those contracts, and that Michael Thomas contract. They have a lot on their books, and so I understand why they're hesitant, especially when you have talent
Yeah.
to start the rebuild. But they've been so hard headed, Gilbert, that I don't see when it's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. But you would think like you tried everything now. Like you even had the complete roster, and you thought maybe, a average quarterback or a game manager that's your favorite phrase, Victor. The game manager will be enough, and it's not enough there. So, we'll see what happens. But to answer the George Play 01, his question, first question of the day. Shout out to you, George. Panic on Chris Olave. I think so. At least the one positive that we saw from Derek Carr a year ago with Devontae Adams, he was feeding Devontae Adams. Like nothing else was working, but Adams got his. He's not really getting it this year. So you were thinking that Derek Carr will give it to Chris Olave and to make it work. And it's been like the old timers like Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. He's been leaning on those guys, and we haven't seen enough flashes with Chris Olave, which I'm really surprised, Victor. I know he got a touchdown his first one, like maybe was it last week or a couple of weeks ago, but today was just a dreadful performance. They weren't on the same page. They could tell like they were annoyed with each other. So, I will panic, and I don't know. I don't see progression here. But Tony, what? We're not even in Halloween yet. It could happen, but it's just been a rough start. And if you could maybe trade him for somebody else, if you're asking fantasy football wise, I would probably do it right now. I don't know what you think, Vic.
Yeah, especially if you paid like a second or a third round pick for him in fantasy, I think there is a little bit of panic there. It's just hard to give up on a talent like that because, as you talked about, one of these games he's gonna break out, and you're gonna be like, "Well, why did I trade him?" And they're still going to him. It just looks like there's just no chemistry there yet. maybe they think. And that's the other thing too, Gilbert, is the thing with Carr is he likes if he likes favorites. He has favorites when it comes to receivers. We've seen it in the past, whether it was Darren Waller, whether it was Devontae Adams. There's Hunter Renfro. He's always gotten these low level guys paid because he if he has chemistry with them, he just locks in on them, and that's part of the problem here. It's that if he doesn't like Olave or he's not in love with the chemistry, he's gonna go away from him, and that kind of sucks if you're a Olave fan or an Olave
Yeah.
owner. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's Michael Thomas or Kamara dump off or even Taysom Hill. He actually had a decent game, Taysom Hill there. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with Olave, but before we move on, again, don't be shy. Ask questions like George here about fantasy football, a game pick, a betting advice, or just give me a takeaway. Like earlier on Compas on the Beat earlier this week, we debated who's the real MVP in the NFL. In the NFL, is it Tua Tagovailoa or Tyreek Hill? They both play on the same team, but Fernando took Tyreek. I took Tua. So things like that, comments, hot takes, NFL wise, let me know, and we'll talk as the show progresses. But we're ready to move on. No more Thursday night football. Let's get to the game of the week, right, Vic?
Yep, the headline game of the week, which is Eagles against Dolphins. Two really good offenses here. One team with a good defense, and we get to see it on Sunday Night Football. So that'll be everybody will get to watch this game. Go ahead and kick us off here,
Yeah.
Gilbert.
Yeah, I actually was watching the Thursday night football broadcast in Espanol, the Amazon Prime, because I was trying to watch it in English and it kept buffering. So I was like, all right, let me watch it on the Spanish version. And they were really excited about this Sunday night football game when they were doing the promos. I'm like, yeah, I don't blame these guys. Eagles versus Dolphins is a big showdown. We should all be excited, especially after all the bad primetime games. This was a sneaky kind of decent game, but I still can't forget about the first three quarters for this Thursday game. But Eagles versus Dolphins should not disappoint that way. Two of the best teams in the NFL, and I'll start with the Dolphins because you know, and I'll just say this: I'm picking the Dolphins, and I'm not feeling confident. But every single week, besides that Buffalo game, the Dolphins are playing well. They are by far the best. There goes that phrase, by far the best offense in the league. Nobody's scoring points but the Miami Dolphins. So they're clicking offensively. And I just want to see at some point put on those points against a very good team. If you're going to be for reals and be a legit Super Bowl contender like we think you are, go and put it on the Eagles who are, not on the same page offensively or having some injuries. I think they might lose Lane Johnson, but we don't know yet. So, and Devontae Smith is hurt too. So, go up to Philly, Miami, and put it on them and get a massive victory to show us that you're for real. The flip side, the Eagles could be pissed off about losing to the Jets. Jalen Hurts had a terrible game. I will be surprised if I see Jalen Hurts playing a game like that again. But you just never know. So, I feel like this is a game where the Dolphins are clicking and you're still probably mad at yourself for losing to the Buffalo Bills, which could have been a statement game, and you lost that one. Here you are again in prime time. Miami, you're not used to the spotlight like the Eagles are, but go up there in Philadelphia and take it to them. So, Vic, I don't know what you feel about that. What do you feel about the Dolphins? But I really like the Dolphins. But if they don't show me something in this game, I might call them pretenders.
Yeah, and it's also the Tua versus Jalen Hurts, two former teammates at Alabama, which I think is a really cool story. Cool Bro says, "What's up, House of Horns?" Yes, we are members of House of Horns, so welcome, Cool Bro. Um, One of the things that when I looked at this game, I'm with you. I think this is a big game for the Dolphins. I think they're the ones that have to prove it here, and I was going through their game scores, and everybody remembers the 70 points. They've scored 70 points against the Broncos. They scored 42 against the Panthers. They scored 31 against the Giants. But when they face really good defenses, they haven't played well, Gilbert, and that's the thing. They haven't scored over. They scored against the Patriots when they were all healthy. They scored 24 against the Patriots. They scored 20 against the Bills, and they scored. What was the other one that I was looking at? There was another one where they scored under. And yeah, the Bills it was 20, and I said in 24. So this is a big test for them. That for the Dolphins, I think If they the other problem is they're going into a hostile environment, which the Patriots was, and so was the Bills. And so if they're able to score points here, they need to stay with the Eagles because we don't know about that Dolphins defense, and I think that's the biggest question mark for me, Gilbert.
Yeah, because the Eagles could easily score points on them. We'll see about Lane Johnson and Devontae Smith. If they're going to be like at full strength, this team could definitely score 30 points every single week, just like the 49ers can too. They didn't do it last week, but they are a very good offense. And I still think Detroit has a better offensive line this year than Philadelphia, but it's still going to be one of the best O lines. And again, shout out to Cool Bro from House of Horns. I know you guys are watching this. We appreciate the support. If you're watching from What's Up, Bolts, we love you too. You're watching from Compas on the Beat Network. We love everybody. All the support is amazing. So don't be shy. Give us even if you want to say go Chargers or go whatever team you like, that's fine too. We want to see all the comments and all the engagement. But yeah, it's a big time game for the Dolphins. And on the Eagles front, like you've been calling this one, Victor, like they haven't been really clicking. They've been a little off, but they've been getting by. And I still expect them to be rolling by Thanksgiving or December, and they're gonna be fine, and then go into the playoffs and maybe go back to the Super Bowl. I don't know just yet, but on the Dolphins, this like if the Eagles lose, I'm not worried about about them losing two in a row. I'll be more concerned about the Dolphins because they're new to this kind of spotlight here. Yeah, they had some primetime games last year, and they had that playoff game with Skylar Thompson, but this feels like their biggest test here. Tua against Jalen Hurts, and no, you know what LA teams, they get that reputation for being soft. Miami gets the same thing. It's a party city. They can't go play in the cold weather or go to the East Coast or whatever it is. Well, they are on the East Coast, but up north. So you mentioned the Patriots game and the Buffalo, that was on the road, and they didn't score that many points. So go to Philly, put it on them, and show that you're legit. When you're getting compared to the 99 Rams, speaking about the Rams, I know it's St. Louis Rams, you better prove that you're actually a real offense. So I don't know. We'll see, Vic. But I don't know. Do you think the Eagles could maybe bounce back from that terrible game in New York City or New Jersey, to be exact?
I do, and this is going to be a good bounce back game for them. My biggest thing has been with the Eagles. I need to see more of it, and you said, as you said, they're going to stay in games, they're going to win games. I think part of the reason they lost against the Jets was because they stopped running the ball. Like their bread and butter is running the ball, and for some reason, I understand that you need to get the ball to Devontae Smith and AJ Brown and Dallas Goddard. And, I understand that, but you need to run the ball. You have one of the best offensive lines, as you talked about. And I think if they get back to that in this game, especially against a big Fangio defense, which we know in order to beat this, they're not going to allow you to do the big, make the big explosive play. They're going to try to keep you within 10 yards, and you're going to have to go the length of the field. And I think as we saw against the Rams, you're kind of have to feature Dallas Goddard, and you're gonna have to run the ball in order to win this game. And I think if they do that, slow down. Don't if you turn it into a track meet, you're gonna get in
Mm.
trouble here, and you're probably gonna lose against a very explosive Dolphins team.
Yeah, I remember for that Bills game, I kept saying, "Bills, don't get into a track meet." They got into a track meet and they won. So I don't know how the Eagles are going to approach it, but they don't feel like they have that track meet offense just yet. But I think they could get it. They could do it if they got into a track meet. But they don't seem like they're on that page, especially with a new OC. So we'll see. But real quick, let's talk to Cool Bro here. I read your comment here. Don't worry about the bullies, Cool Bro. Always learn to keep a positive group around you. It doesn't have to be the biggest group, man. Get it people who are encouraging and positive. And yeah, sometimes you're gonna have disagreements. They won't root for your favorite team, but talking about your height, things like that, don't allow that. Keep your head up, cool, bro, and just be positive and wait for Sunday because the Rams play the Steelers.
Yep, I'm right with you, Gilbert. Good message there.
Yeah, but I appreciate being open, cool, bro, and keep doing your thing and keep supporting the channel. We love that. But let's move on to the second tier of games for NFL Week 7, Vic.
Yeah, we got our page two top tier games of the week, and then let's start off with another really good one, and that's the Lions
Ooh.
against the Ravens. You got two good teams. The Ravens should have a better record, but they gave away two games, and then the Lions just have been outside of losing to the Seahawks. They've been on a roll. They look legit. Go ahead and start us off here, Gilbert.
Yeah, I'll start with the Ravens, man. Like they're really confusing, and it doesn't help that they're coming back from London, and we know the stats. When you come back from London, you're a little fatigued. You're not the same offense, but who knows what to expect with this team? The Ravens have been so unpredictable. Like even when Lamar's doing well, the wide receivers are dropping the ball. I know that was a couple of weeks ago. We can't keep saying that, but the London game was a little clunky. They were playing a bad Titans teams, but they got it done. That's fine. Like they're gonna be hanging around the Ravens, but I just feel like eventually the Bengals are gonna pass them because I can't trust this Ravens team unless they really like get clicking offensively and find some consistency. Like I was actually surprised how well the Ravens have done defensively, like numbers wise. You thought it was gonna be a year they took a dip, but they've actually been holding it down while the offense has been trying to figure out. Like the offense can't get on the same page with Todd Monken. It seems like Lamar Jackson really wants to like be patient as a passer and trust his scheme, but often they go back to their old ways and trying to run the football, and that wins a lot of games too. But I wonder if he's going to stick to it and then go back to his old ways of just taking off because he's not really running the ball right now, and that's the element that you're missing for the Ravens. When he's running, you can't really defend it, and they're trying to be somebody they're not, and that's maybe hurting them. But again, maybe if he is patient come January, because the Ravens have been winning a lot of games, big, and this approach is being run heavy, whereas it gotten them nowhere. So I get why they're trying to tweak things and be more of a passing unit. But your wide receivers aren't helping. Where's Rashad Bateman? Where's Odell Beckham? Zay Flowers, the rookie, is doing something. Mark Andrews is always going to be there, but they're just missing another gear, and I don't think they have another one right now. So that's why the Lions are coming in as a road team. That worries me. But the Lions are steamrolling teams. They are handling business. They are winning by 14 points on a 4-game winning streak. So they're cruising. I know it's a hostile environment going into Baltimore, and the Ravens are a good team, but I just don't know what to expect from the Ravens, Victor. So for me, I will take the Lions here. I don't feel confident taking a road team. I think I'm taking a lot of road teams this week, but I think the Lions are just clicking, and I can't figure out the Ravens. I don't know if you have something better than that, but I'm just confused with the Ravens.
Well, let me give you a quick stat in terms of the Lions because you're talking about them winning on the road. If they win this game, Gilbert, they'll win as many games on the road as they've won the last two seasons. So that just tells you where they're at, what they've done so far this season and how things have changed for them. And I'll tell you this, Gilbert. I know Mike McDonald's gonna Mike McDaniel. Sorry, I was gonna talk about McDonald, the defensive corner, but I'll get there with the Ravens. But outside of Mike McDaniel, I think Dan Campbell is gonna get a lot of head coach of the year. Um, Boats, and rightfully so because he's done a great job. I know a lot of people think he's just a meathead and stuff like that, but he's done a great job so far, of leading this team and letting his coordinators coach here. But in terms of the Ravens, I think as you talked about Todd Monken, and I think part of the problem here is that I think people kind of overrated him coming out of college, coming out of Georgia, and just believing
Yeah.
that he was just going to be able to do the same things he did at Georgia. And I think it's kind of taken a little bit of time, and it'll get there. I think it's not his fault that there's a lot of drop passes. I think that's been the biggest thing. As Cool Bro says, all right, guys, I have to go now. I have school tomorrow. Horns up. So have a good one. Thanks again for checking in with us. But going back to the Ravens, you know, I kind of want to. It's weird because we want to see more Lamar running, but at the same time, he's trying to run that offense, and I think that's been part of the problem. The problem with why we haven't seen explosive plays. Say Flowers has been a great rookie. He's been able to do the things you want to see from a Ravens team. Especially because we haven't seen it for the last couple of years. And then I'll just go to the defense. Defensively, McDonald has done a great job, coming from Michigan, another guy from college. I thought he really surprised me with the things he's been able to do and keeping the Ravens defensive. Like, I feel like since the 2000s, Gilbert, since they became the Ravens, the one thing you can always expect is a good defense from the Ravens. I don't know how they do it, but every single year they seems like they're a top 10 defense.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the year they don't have any pass rushers, and they're getting it done there. So that's credit to them. They always draft pretty well. And I think it was a week ago, maybe after I think it was after the Steelers game. I was even critical of their special teams. They had a punt block there. They got the Steelers back in the game. So I'm like, I was thinking, okay, they have bad special teams, kind of a mediocre offense. I can't recognize this John Harbaugh team, but they're 4-2, so it's early. I'm that's why I feel kind of like it's too early to write off the Ravens and expect the worst from them. But I got to see something going into Week 7, and it might not happen with the Lions. And I'll focus on the Lions here before we move on. But I just like everything they're doing. They're gonna have to do something differently because they don't have David Montgomery, and that's kind of been their identity. But they already won a game without David Montgomery. I think yeah, he missed a game earlier this year. I forget which one it was, or maybe he missed it. I
It
forget
was
which
the
one he missed.
one right after. I think it
The
was
Seahawks?
one right after the Chiefs win. So they
Oh, so
lost the
maybe
game
they lost that
against
one. Okay.
the
I thought it was
Seahawks.
like week 3 or something, but
You might
uh
be right. I think he might have gotten hurt against the Seahawks. Now thinking about it, because I think I'm mixing up my weeks here.
mm,
I think you're
well,
right. Let me
regardless, they're
check.
five
Let
and
me
one,
check.
and they're doing a lot of things right. They're 5-1, but David Montgomery is a big part of it, and that's kind of been their identity and being tough and gritty and wearing you down. But maybe it could be kind of a good thing, Vic, because they just got Jameson Williams back, and they're doing well with Sam Laporta, and they got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like maybe it's a game where you're kind of forced to be pass heavy, and you start seeing, yeah, we have another gear with this offense. Yeah, we could definitely keep up with the 49ers and the Eagles. So I want to see them go in there and put it on the Ravens the way I said about the Dolphins, and take it to the Eagles. Like people are talking about the Lions like they need to be considered with the 49ers and the Eagles. The way to do it is go beat the Ravens, and we'll find out for real. So you're right, Victor, with Dan Campbell getting head coaching of the year candidacy or talk, and he might be my front runner right now, or him and Michael McDaniel. So we'll see if they get it. But my pick is definitely the Lions. They're going to keep it rolling. I want to hear your pick, Victor, and I don't think we got your Eagles Dolphins one.
I'm going with the Dolphins as well. I picked them in our
Mm.
pick'em during Compas on the beat, and then he has not missed a game. So he got hurt in the Seattle game, and then he came right back and had 32 carries against the Packers, which was pretty.
You
Uh,
sure? I thought he missed a game. Let me see.
yeah, I'm looking at all his carries here. He's one, two, three, four, five. Right? They played 5 games. Yeah, it was KC, Seattle, Green Bay, Carolina, and Tampa Bay, and then he only had 6 carries against the Buccaneers, and that's because he got hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. He missed the Falcons game because
Oh,
it's
he
six
did miss
games.
the Falcons, so
They're
they
five
played
and
six.
one. So that
Yeah,
was the one. They won that game. So
there
I
you
knew
go.
there was something there. So yeah. So it was the third one. But so they won that one, and they're 5-1. So they know how to deal with injuries, but they also have Jamar Gibbs who might not play. I'm hoping he does because I really need him to play in my fantasy league or the ones we're in. But we'll see. I like the Lions, and I think you just said you do like the Lions too,
Yeah, I
right?
like the Lions as well. I'm right with you on those 2 picks, the Dolphins and the. We like the road teams in those 2 matchups. So let's get to our second top tier game, and it's gonna be one if they're watching on What's Up Both, they're gonna like
Yeah.
the us talking about this. Is it's gonna be the Chargers and Chiefs, Gilbert. I'll
Yeah.
say this. One of the things coming away from this game is that I think in 5 of the games that Herbert has started against the Chiefs, the score has been within 3 or 5 points in every game. So
Yeah.
th-
They're always pretty close games, the Chargers and the Chiefs, and I hate that that's something because it annoys me because I really want to start giving up on the Chargers. They're a team that you really want to say, okay, they're gonna make some noise. They're gonna go far. They have a lot of talent, and they just keep getting their own way, losing one score games. The defense can't get right with Brandon Staley. Justin Herbert's missing passes now. Injuries are catching up with Corey Linsley and Mike Williams, and yeah, they'll probably keep it close. But I hate that could be an option. It makes me feel like, what if this is a game they actually win in the close one? What if this is a game they actually get up for? Because if they lose this game, might as well give the Chiefs a eighth consecutive AFC West title. They've won 7 in a row, so give them another one if they win this game because it's over. Like I'm done with the Chargers, and they're just a frustrating franchise. I know the listeners and viewers of What's Up Bolts know that they don't need me to remind them, but that little part there that you mentioned, it gives people hope. Like, yeah, what if it is close? What if they do win it? And that's kind of annoying, but we've seen so many upsets in the NFL. It could happen. I do like the Chargers to cover here. I think they're 5.5, and we'll get to our bets in a bit. But I told him, I kept thinking like, don't fall for the trap. They're not gonna win this one. Like, don't, just keep going with the Chiefs. But then the Chiefs have not been any good either. Like, offensively, they're just not in sync there. They really need another wide receiver. I think they got Mecole Hardman from the Jets in a trade. They're trying new things here, but they still got Travis Kelce. They still got Patrick Mahomes, and that defense is really good. So, and they have Andy Reid. But I'm going to take the Chiefs here, but I don't know what to feel with the Chargers. What if this is a game they finally get up? But I just don't see it at Arrowhead Stadium, Vic.
Yeah, and the thing is with the Chiefs is the one hope you have if you're a Chargers fan is that they've been pretty bad offensively. I think they're like the worst team in terms of scoring in the fourth quarter this season, which is shocking coming from a Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid team. I mean, they haven't been great in the fourth quarter. Let me just give you the scores just to kind of, from the past from Chiefs and Chargers. It's we In 2020 it was Chiefs 23, Chargers 20. In week 3 of 2021, Chargers 30, Chiefs 24. So they beat them there. 2021, Chiefs 34, Chargers 28. And then the second week in 2022, Chiefs 27, Chargers 24. And then 2022 again, Chiefs 30, Chargers 27. So that tells you how close of a matchup this has been. And Herbert is 2-4 versus the Chiefs in his career. And so this kind, when it comes to the Chargers and Chiefs, it's going to stay close. But as you said, this division is pretty much over. This is why I this coming into the before the season when we had our picks, I said I'm not picking against the Chiefs. I'm done. Like I know we want to be different, but until we actually see someone dethrone them, I'm not gonna pick against them. I've learned my lesson, and even with how bad the Chiefs have struggled this season, Gilbert, it's they're still 5-1. And you're like, how are they 5-1? They're scraping by teams. They scrape by the Jets on some blown calls by the refs. They scrape by the Jaguars. And it was an ugly game offensively by the Chiefs, but they're just getting it done.
Yeah, and even that Lions game, they probably should have won if it wasn't for Kadarius Toney dropping balls and not having Travis Kelsey and Chris Jones also didn't help. But they just keep finding ways, and we're all waiting for the demise of the Chiefs, and they've taken a decline, but it's still enough to win games. And when the Chargers are losing one score games, and maybe we shouldn't count out the Raiders just yet, but they just I respect what Devontae Adams said. With the media that a lot of people are making too much of his words because he wants to win, but he knows this this type of style of bad offense isn't going to lead to a playoff season. So the Raiders are not right either, but they are 3-3. So you know they got to do something to show me it's going to be a race. They haven't. The defense has a little bit, but the Broncos, they're not going to be in there either. We all thought it's going to be the Chargers, and being 2-3, it's starting to feel like it's going to be nobody again. It's going to be the Chiefs, but give me the Chiefs here, Victor. I think the Chargers will cover, but I'm guessing you're going with the Chiefs too.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs here. It'll be a close game, but I do like the Chiefs here as well, especially
Oh,
at home.
all right. What we got
Uh,
next?
we got our water cooler storyline of the week. So, what do we think are going to be the storylines come Monday? After the games on Sunday. Gilbert, go ahead. What do you got for us?
Yeah, and a quick reminder: if you have any questions, fantasy football, any maybe you have criticism for what we're talking about in the last 20 minutes, that's fine too. a takeaway from Thursday Night Football. Maybe you could participate in the water cooler storyline. What you think is gonna, what we're gonna talk about come Monday after Week 7 in the NFL, or Tuesday because you want to wait for Monday Night Football, 49ers and the Vikings. But just get in the comments. Somebody commented "mom." I don't know what that means, but there is a comment there from Emily Stewart. I don't know. Maybe she's in the wrong wrong YouTube live channel right now. But we love the comments. We love the engagement. So another reminder there. But to get to the future of what we're going to be talking about
We're
after
looking ahead, Gilbert.
Sunday, looking ahead, and yeah, we're talking about the Raiders. I think people are going to talk about the Raiders defense being legit, and it could be maybe a little too soon because they are going to play the Bears with the undrafted rookie quarterback. Is it Tyson Bagnet? I'm blanking on his name right now, but I think the Raiders defense is pretty good. I don't know if they're going to be Browns Jets good. That's too far ahead, but they're pretty productive. So I think that's going to be the storyline. I think the it's going to be the battle of the backups, right, Vic? No Jimmy
Yes.
G
Yep.
and
We don't know who's
no
going to
Justin
start for
Fields.
the Raiders. It's either going to be Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell. I know there's a split with Raider fans right now because some want to see Aiden O'Connell, and then after what they saw with Hoyer against the Patriots, some want Hoyer just to, hey, don't turn the ball over, just go in there, let your defense, as you talked about, let your defense win a third straight game for you.
Yeah, especially I really was impressed with the way the Raiders defense closed it out against the Packers and the Patriots. I know those games were at home. Now they're going to Chicago, but it's the Chicago Bears. They have one victory. They have, on the other side, one of the worst defenses in the league, them and the Broncos, and they have an undrafted rookie quarterback starting. So I like the Raiders here, and I think the next day people are going to be catching on. Hey, maybe some Max Crosby Defensive Player of the Year talk finally. I don't know. We'll see, but that's where I'm going to the future, and I think the Raiders pull this out. I don't think you're as confident as I am, Victor, but that's gonna be the talk for the future.
Yeah, no, if we're picking this game, I'm going with the Bears just because the Raiders, until I see them win a game on that 10 a.m. window, I'm gonna pick against them. I still haven't seen them. We saw how they looked against the Bills. They got blown out. I get it. The Bills, were healthy at that point. They're not anymore. But looking at the Bears, I just, like I said, when it comes to the Raiders, that 10 a.m. window, especially going, to the Midwest, I guess you can call it. It's not technically the East Coast. They always struggle in that 10 a.m. window when it, especially, they've had like a really bad record. So, but if I had I think if Aiden O'Connell starts, I think there's going to be a big push for him to start, especially if he feeds Devontae Adams.
Devontae.
There's going to be a big push for him to be the starter the rest of the season because you can't keep doing this where you get Jimmy G back for one game and then he gets hurt and then you're having to go back to your rookie. Either if he has a big game and he starts, then you just let him go the rest of the season.
Yeah, I like the way they did it last week. They brought in Brian Hoyer because he's a veteran. He could play it like on the last minute pinch like that. O'Connell needs probably a full week to be prepared. He has a full week, so I said go with the rookie, and he's already done it against the Chargers. So I like that. But I think the Raiders played it right last week going with Brian Hoyer. So we'll see what happens there. But I think you've seen a lot of Raider football to be this negative. It feels like it's right for them. Undrafted rookie quarterback, a bad Bears defense, and actually a good Raiders defense. I feel like you might be 4-3. We'll see. But
Yeah, I've
go ahead.
I've seen this story before, Gilbert.
I know you have.
Unfortunately.
So
Uh,
that's why I'm not gonna give you a hard time. But it feels like they're
Yeah.
gonna win this game. But
All
you
right.
never know. And one more for you here. Speaking of bad teams, the Giants are gonna play the Washington Commanders. I see the Commanders winning this game, so that will mean the Giants will be 1-6 if that happens. And at that point, you better go all in for Caleb Williams. Enough with Daniel Jones. You gave him his 1 year shot. Just eat the money for next year. It was only a 2 year guaranteed deal. You tried this year. I think if you go 1-6, you better enter that race. And you could also even get Drake May because we know Daniel Jones already. We don't got to see more football. It's like Derek Carr. Daniel Jones is gonna be a guy who's gonna give you a chance. Half the year, you're gonna be a 500 team. It's not gonna get you nowhere. You're not gonna be a Super Bowl team. So Daniel Jones seems like a nice guy, but as a quarterback, he's not it. And I get it. They saw the improvement from Brian Dable a year ago. They were a playoff team, but they were surprisingly beat the Vikings, but they were a divisional round team. But I don't see a Super Bowl contender. And if you have a chance to get Caleb Williams or Drake May, go all in. Trade Saquon Barkley. Free Saquon. Let him go somewhere else, like Christian McCaffrey did, and revive his career. Go Saquon, please. We want to see you do better somewhere else. So start the fire sale and move on. If the Giants lose this game against the Washington Commanders, what do you think, Vic?
I actually like it, but I think the bigger story, I think going the rest of the season, Gilbert, is what's going to be the more fun race. Is it the teams trying to get to the first seed, or is it going to be the teams trying to tank for Caleb Williams or Drake May? Because you got teams like the Cardinals who might get what's his name back soon. You have
That's
it
right.
was a yeah,
Kyler
uh,
Murray.
Kyler Murray. You have the Bears who are going to have two top five picks because they own the Panthers pick, and then you got the Giants. You have the Broncos who might we heard the comments from Sean Payne a year ago about tanking, and so
Get the
that's
Patriots.
the Patriots as well. So you're gonna have five or six teams trying to tank. So that'll be a juicy storyline come Monday. And then I'll give you mine just real quick. I think mine is going to be that I think the Lions are going to be seen as the best team in the NFC,
Wow.
especially if they blow out the Ravens. If they go in there and they look dominant, their defense is clicking, their offense is clicking. You see Jared Goff with what he's done this season. It's no longer a fluke, and I get it. He has a really good offensive line, but he's been really good. Now it's been more than a year and a half now, Gilbert, that he's been really good. And so if they go in there, I think my storyline is that the Lions have gone into that tier now with the 49ers and the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm with you. If they beat the Ravens, I will feel comfortable saying that there's a 3-team race in the NFC. So I like that one. What we got next? I think
Our
it's bet.
betting
There you go.
locks of the week, Gilbert, and you are coming off a great week, and I did not do well last week, unfortunately. You got 9 points last week, and if you want here, I'll let you start it off while I load this up and give you all the information about how we did last week.
So one more time. So the rules here is we're gonna have our 5 best bets, and the ones that we feel strongly about will be our first bet will be 5 points, 4, 3, so on and so on. The last one
So on.
being 1 point, and then whichever ones you get right, you get those points added up. And I guess I got 9 points, and you got one
One.
point Victor, which I'm guessing was your least favorite bet that you got right. So that's a
Yeah, and
little
that was
little
and that
ironic.
was yeah, it was the Giants, and we went with the super dog there, and we both
That's
went with the
right.
same
We
one.
almost won that freaking game.
Yeah, so this is what you had last week. You had the under on the Rams Cardinals, you hit that. You had the 49ers and Browns over, you didn't hit that one. You had
Ah,
the Commanders and at plus 6.5, you got that one. You hit the Giants at plus 17.5, and then you missed on the Colts and the Jaguars at plus 4. And then I'll give you mine. Mine. I missed out on. I said the Eagles -7, the Colts +4, the Seahawks at plus 2.5, the Bears at 3, and then I hit on the Giants at plus 17.5. So you, as of right now, after 1 week, have 9 points. I only have 1 point. So
I
go
sh-
ahead and start
it
us off.
should have been more because that freaking missed kick by Jake Moody in the 49ers game would have got me 39 points. It ended at 36 a total, so I missed it by half a point. I was pretty annoyed. But we got a question. Kyle Singer, Trey Lamar Jackson, Ford from the Browns. I'm thinking Michael Thomas, Tyler Boyd. Ooh, a lot of players for DeAndre Swift and Tyreek Hill. Ooh, thoughts here. This is a if you could get Tyreek Hill and DeAndre
Yes.
Swift, go ahead and do it. I know it's 4 for 2, but those are two very productive players, especially Tyreek. What do you think, Vic?
Yeah, I'm right with you. Yeah, anytime you can get Tyreek Hill, he's gonna break 2,000 yards. So, and he's a fantasy guy every week. He's going to get you the points. He's a big feature on that offense.
Yeah, and especially with Lamar Jackson being so inconsistent, trying to figure out the offense. I say do it. I'm guessing, Kyle, you're the one that has these four players trying to get these two here. So if the other way around, make sure you keep Swift and Tyreek Hill. And quick story, I've been trying to trade Justin Jefferson in my league, and nobody's going for my wild offers because I need some healthy bodies, but I don't want to give away Justin Jefferson for free, and people are not biting. So maybe you'll get this deal here.
If I'm you, I try to get whatever I can. I'll be honest. It's starting to feel like Cooper Cup from last year. So, just
This is a number
whatever
one
you.
pick. I need some
I
value
know.
back.
Hey, I'm just letting you know. Talking about the Rams, we got DJ Fono here. Let's go Rams house. Thanks for watching
Yes.
us on House of Horrors. We appreciate. Thank you for commenting. All right, Gilbert. Let's get to these bets. What do you got? How do you want to start us off here with your
Yeah.
best bets?
So for my 5 point here, the Bills. You better not let me down, Buffalo. I've been believing in you so much, but you're playing the crappy Patriots, and they are 1-5. Go and beat the spread 8.5. You should be winning by 10 for sure against the Patriots. So Buffalo Bills minus 8.5 against the Patriots. That is my 5 point bet of the week. So moving down now for the number 4 here. I'm surprised that I could get the Packers at a pick 'em -1 in Denver. I get the Packers look terrible against the Detroit Lions. They look terrible against the Raiders, but the Broncos are really bad, and the Packers are coming off a bye week. I did see Jair Alexander his back injury is flaring up again. I am concerned about that. But I think Jordan Love and Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs, and if Aaron Jones plays, that's enough to get by the Broncos. The Broncos have checked out. They're waiting for the trade deadline, and guys want to get out of there and move on. So -1, I almost made it my 5 point bet. So that's 4 right there. And then for the 3, I am taking, I already mentioned this one, Chargers plus 5.5 against the Chiefs. It's gonna be close, but they're always gonna, lose a close one there. So give me Chargers plus 5.5 for the 3 points there. And then for 2, it's a total line. Falcons versus Buccaneers. Victor, a lot of totals under 40 this week because of what happened last week with the defense. So Falcons versus Buccaneers, at SI Sportsbook is the one where I got it from, is 38.5. Pretty low, but here's a recipe: two mediocre offenses against two good defenses. Low scoring affair. Give me that under there, 38.5. And then for my 1 point bet, Lions versus Ravens, 41.5. Take the over. I think these two teams will score points
Yep.
because it's a pretty low total for these two teams, 41.5. Go over. Those are my 5 bets.
Yeah, I like that last one. I would bet that one. All right, I'm gonna go pretty quick. My number 5 is gonna be a prop bet, and it has to do with that Raiders game. It's gonna be Daniel Carlson. It's 1.5 field goals, and I'm going with the over just because I think the Raiders will be able to move the ball on that defense. They just every it's not just that the Raiders are struggling in the red zone, Gilbert. Everybody's struggling in the red zone this season. We haven't seen these kind of problems in the red zone since 2014. So it's been pretty bad all the way around with every team in the outside of the Dolphins, it seems like. My number 4 is going to be, I'm trying to look for it. It's going to be the Rams and Steelers under at 44. I'm running right with you. You've been telling me about the Rams. Going with the under on House of Horn, so I'm with you on that one.
Okay.
Number 3 is the Browns and Colts. It's 41. So I'm going with the under there.
I like that
Uh,
one too.
yeah, because you have two really good defenses, and then the I have no confidence in either quarterback, whether it's Minshew or PJ Walker there. Even if Deshaun Watson plays, he has a bum shoulder, so I'm hitting the under on that one. And then my number 2 is the same one you gave, which was the Chargers and Chiefs. I like that Chargers 5 plus 5.5. I just, with how close these teams usually play, even if Brandon Staley messes it up, he usually ends up, in a close game against the Chiefs. And then my number 1 is Dolphins Eagles. I'm going with the under on this.
Yeah,
As I talked about with this, with the Dolphins, they've been unable to score when they play really good defenses. I think they win the game, but I don't think it's going to be a high scoring affair. And I think the Eagles are going to try to run the ball a lot in this game, so it's going to be a low scoring game. So that's my number one, Gilbert.
cool. I like that. We'll see how the points add up next week, and hopefully you don't catch up to me. But I'm
You
off to a
have too
strong
big of
start.
a lead. I don't think I'm gonna. You're up 8 points on me already. It's gonna be tough for me to come back. So let's get to quick dump offs where we pick the rest of the games, Gilbert.
Yeah. So the ones that we haven't talked too much, and hopefully, our friends at House of Horns have stuck around for this. And if you're watching the replay, here you go. And also, you probably already watched the House of Horns preview show where we gave you a full breakdown of Rams versus Steelers. So we'll be quick here. Uh, Rams versus Steelers. I think I saw where we mentioned it went down to -3 Rams. Earlier in the week, it was -3.5. So uh, it went down for the Rams there. They got to figure out the running back situation. We said it's going to be Daryl Henderson as the lead back. People asked me earlier on my TikTok live, Vic, who's going to be the lead back. I kept saying Daryl Henderson. Stay away from Zach Evans. We'll see if I gave good advice or not. But I do like the Rams to also cover with the -3 and beat the Steelers and see what Sean McVay does to unlock the passing game because they've been leaning on Kyron Williams. They're not going to have him, but I also don't really have a lot of faith in the Steelers to score points. And I think I just saw TJ Watt also have a injury this week. So
Yeah, he had a heel injury and he did not practice today, so he's probably going to be a game time decision as well.
yeah, and they really need TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith to put pressure on Matthew Stafford. If they can't do that, it's going to be a big time Rams game. So give me the Rams, and I think I know your answer, Vic. Go ahead.
Yeah, same thing with the Rams. The thing that kind of concerns me about the Steelers is that their two big wins, they kind of and I when I say they won 3 games, but their two big wins are in the division where those teams gave away, whether it was the Ravens or the Browns, they gave those games away. I don't see the Rams giving away a game. I think the Rams finally put together 4 quarters of football and they win this game, by at least 7 points. So that's why I'm with you. I like the 3 points here for the Rams. I think they cover.
Okay, another one is Seahawks hosting the fading Cardinals in Seattle. The spread here is -7.5. Seattle, it's pretty high, but I think Seattle will cover here. The Cardinals again are fading, and the Seahawks need a victory. Geno Smith did not look good in Cincinnati. They need a game where everybody's involved and everybody's happy. So, give me the Seahawks to take care of business against those Cardinals are ready to tank, but then, like you mentioned, Kyler Murray might come back. So such a weird situation, but Kyler Murray's not back just yet. What do you think?
I like the Seahawks. This is going to be a big Kenneth Walker game. He's been seeing loaded boxes all season. He has been unable to run the ball. I think the Cardinals have not been a good team. We just saw with Kyron Williams, he went for 158 yards. If you commit to the run, if you're the Seahawks, which we know that Pete Carroll likes to do, I think they'll win this game easily. And like I said, I really like Kenneth Walker to have a big game in this game. So I'm with you, Seahawks, and they cover.
Okay. I guess we neglected the NFC West here. So 49ers against the Vikings, 49ers in Minnesota, Monday Night Football. The 49ers are -7. We don't know about Debo, CMC. We'll see if they're ready, but they sound like it's not a long-term injury, but you never know when it comes to Monday Night Football, the day of, and like, okay, they're actually not active. So if they don't play, I still think Brock Purdy has enough with Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle. That defense is still very good to shut down Vikings team without Justin Jefferson. So I feel uneasy about taking the -7 on the road, but I think the 49ers are going to be pretty pissed off from last week. So give me the 49ers to cover on the road -7. What do you think?
I'm staying away from this game because I
Mm.
like as you mentioned, I don't know who's gonna play in this game, and you know who is number one in blitzing is the Vikings with Brian Flores.
Mhm.
They're like 57% of the time they blitz, and one of the things we saw if you blitz Brock Purdy, I kind of want to see how that looks, just because it'll be another test for him to pass, and I think he'll do it. I'm just trying to stay away from this game because I have no idea who's gonna play. But I believe in Kyle Shanahan. He'll scheme up some things against Brian Flores. It's just what kind of scares me in this game is the fact of all the unknowns. We don't know
Yeah.
who's gonna play, but I think I if I was trying to bet this game, I stay away from it until Monday because until you know who's playing, it's gonna be hard to tell. But as of right now, since you need a pick from me, I'm gonna go with the 49ers. I think it might be a closer game than people think.
Yeah, especially for fantasy football, you better have a backup plan because I'm already paranoid. Because I think I mentioned last week there was a game where Aaron Jones was playing on Monday Night Football, and they kept saying he's gonna play. The day comes, he's inactive. I didn't have a backup plan. I thought he was gonna play, but luckily, not luckily for me, I was already blown out. It didn't matter if I started anybody, so I was gonna lose. But you just never know. So have a backup plan. If you have Debo or CMC, and maybe luckily you got Elijah Mitchell and you have another wide receiver. But yeah, good call staying away here. And one more game that you touched on the total, but I didn't get to do a pick here. Browns at Colts, and it's the Browns -7. I like the Browns defense, but I don't trust their offense. But it feels like maybe it could be a letdown game, but I won't go that way because the Colts were pretty bad a week ago. So give me the Browns to cover on the road. And again, I think I picked a lot of road teams, so that could be a disaster for me. But I think the Browns will cover -3 with that very good defense. What do you think?
I like the Colts to cover here. That's a big number, especially at home. The Colts are really good at home. My only worry, as you talked about, is which defense is gonna out. I think whatever defense plays the other one. I think that's who is gonna win this game. I'm leaning towards the Browns, but I just that's a big number, especially going on the road. I know everybody's jumping on the bandwagon with the Browns with what they did against the 49ers, but that was such a unique game plan that they had. They had a chance to lose it. The 49ers missed a couple of field goals. I trust Matt Gay in this game if it comes to him trying to win this game over what happened with the 49ers and Jake Moody. So I'm gonna go with the Browns here, but I like the points that the Colts are getting here.
Yeah, and that means you're expecting a really close game here. It could be like a 6-3 game. Goes into overtime. Who knows? Even maybe even a tie. We always forget about that. But that's it here. Looking ahead to NFL Week 7, we appreciate everybody who stuck around or dropped a comment or just even watched for a little bit or even liked it and didn't watch. We all appreciate every type of support you have here for the Compas on the Beat Network. If you're watching from House of Horns, shout out to you. Have a good night. You're watching from What's Up Boats. Shout out to you and have a good night. And obviously everybody here on Compas on the Beat. So Vic, I am ready to go. Any parting words or we're good?
Just thank you to everybody who's checked in on us. Make sure that you check in with us on Monday for the Lunes Live with Gilbert and Fernando. They have your takeaways from week 7. So everything we talked about here, they'll have all the results of what happened from week 7, and and then we have regular compas on Wednesday. So make sure you guys stay locked in with us, and we really appreciate you guys sticking around and watching this episode and listening.
Yes. So everybody go enjoy the weekend now, and we'll come back on Sunday and watch these games and have a good time. And we're always open to feedback, how to improve the network here, all the YouTube channels that we have. So it's been a fun ride to get to this point. A lot of hard work, and but we don't want to neglect the supporters. We made this show for you. If you want to watch every Thursday after Thursday Night Football and just jump on and talk football, mark it down, and we'll be here to chat. So with that, I'm ready to go. Let's move on. Ya nos vamos. Pues vámonos. Oh.